Hello guys, good morning. Yeah, good morning guys, thank you. Hope you all are can hear me, right? Okay, let us start the session. So if you remember, last time we had discussed about few basic concepts like why we need a cloud. I'm going to mention here. So we have started why we need cloud and we have understood that. And after that, we have seen what is Google Cloud. And after that, course overview. Okay. Why we need to learn GCP. Fourth, GCP interfaces. Fifth, console walkthrough. So far we have covered this thing. Today we are going to start GCP locations. Okay, so this is what we are focusing on today. And after that we have GCP IAM and admin. So these are the basic concepts that we must learn before entering into the GCP, because GCP locations or the IAM concepts will keep on coming each and every aspect of the Google Cloud service. So we must learn before we enter into the GCP products like Google Cloud Storage or Data Proc or Data Flow, whatever it is, right? So today we are going to start this topic. Let me go and start. Hope you all can hear me and see my screen clearly. Let me know if you guys are unable to. Okay. Yeah, thank you all. Let us start the session. So GCP locations, I have already given you some overview on the last day. So if you remember, GCP locations is nothing but a dividing the Google Cloud platforms infrastructure in multiple locations or a multiple regions or a multiple zones. Why we need to do, sir? Each and every person should able to, or each and every location or a zone person can able to deploy their application nearby them. So for example, if I wanted to use the bank, if the bank is there in New Delhi, I may have to go to the New Delhi and do the transaction. Instead, if I have the bank in my own village, I'll be able to directly go there and do the transaction. So Google Cloud Platform providing you the Google's infrastructure near to almost all the regions and zones. So with the help of that, we can able to develop our application, deploy our applications in a Google's infrastructure which is near to us, which is near to our premises. So that is the main advantage of the GCP. What do you get, sir? When it is near to you, what do you get? So if your bank is near to you, if you wanted to do the transaction, it takes like few minutes. But if you have that bank is there in New Delhi, you may have to go to that particular location. To go to that particular location itself, it take a lot of time. So that's what the advantage. So the performance improvement will be there, the network latency will be there, and deployment speed will also be very high. So the main importance of the GCP location is that it's going to provide you the benefits from the Google infrastructure perspective whenever you wanted to deploy or scale your or whatever the top whatever the things that you wanted to do your infrastructure. Okay, let us try to see. So Google is providing you 5 locations. One is North America, South America, Europe, Asia, and Australia. These 5 locations are further divided into 37 regions. These regions are further divided into 112 zones. Zones are called as a availability zones for a reason. That is because all the Google's data center, when I say infrastructure, all the infrastructure will be stored in a separate room. Sir, whenever I stay in my room, that is what I call a home, right? So whenever I'm staying in some location, I am calling that as a home. Likewise, Google also given a terminology. Wherever they are storing they are keeping their infrastructure. That is what they call as a data center. So each zone will have its own data center. That is the reason a data center will have two things. One is physical infrastructure. One more is virtual infrastructure or physical resources, I would say. Physical resources, virtual resources. Okay, when I say physical resources, you can think of like your storage devices, or you can think of like a network, cables, rack and stack. All of those things are the physical things. Virtual resources that you can't see, because physical resources you can able to touch it, you can able to manually configure it. But virtual resources you configure it, but you may not be able to see it. Those things are like containerizations or virtual machines. Those are virtually exist. So each data center will have a physical resources as well as virtual resources. Okay, when each zone will have a one data center, that's the reason zones are called as a availability zones. Availability zones. This name also why it came means the availability zones means wherever you are going to deploy your application, the available resources for your application is available here. That's the reason it is called as the availability zones. Okay, so this is how total 5 locations, 37 regions, 112 zones. It's gonna be keep on increases, sir. This number will not be fixed. They may increase few more regions maybe in the next year. So that's all. Okay, each region for sure, each region will have more than or is equal to 3 zones. Okay, this is the GCP's Google Cloud Platform mentioned. Each region will have more than 3 zones or at least 3 zones. Okay, and now let us see. So where are those zones, where are those regions, sir? You will be able to see here. We have here 32 regions. You will be able to see all the regions one by one here listed out throughout the world. Okay, and you will be able to see in India also we have a Delhi, we have a Mumbai. See here, current region with 3 zones. Future, there are also future. They are going to add few more things, like for example, Dammam. That's one thing, and you can say Johannesburg. They are also adding few more regions upcoming. So those are also will be available in few. And this is just a recapitulation. Like GCP's infrastructure is organized into regions and zones. Each region is a collection of zone, and the regions are available in Asia, Australia, Europe, North America, and South America. I just want you guys to think like this. For example, if this is your globe, okay, if you think that this is your globe, our globe, and we have a some location US, we have a some location Europe. Okay, this Europe I have taken here, and this is my Europe. If you think this is entirely this, whatever the small circle was there, right? That entire small circle, if you think that this is a small circle and this is Europe, in Europe you will be having multiple regions. This is one region. Here also you will get one more region. Here also you will get one more region. Somewhere one more region. So like this, you may have a more than in a region you will be having more than 2 or 3 regions. So that is the reason this is what is called as a multi-region. Okay, this is location. Location will have a multiple regions, right? As I told you, location will have one location will have 5 locations means 37 regions means one location is having more than one region. So one location may have multiple regions, and if I take a one region, assume that this is the name of the region is Europe West 2. The nomenclature of the region is Europe West 2. This is what they are taking. Okay, this is what they are taking. If they are taking one region, in each region they may have a multiple location, multiple zones. Okay, so each region is having multiple zones. This is one zone, this is one more zone, this is one more zone. Try to understand the nomenclature here. So the main intention of this picture is to understand you how the regions and zones are organized. One more thing is that the nomenclature. So for the Europe, they have given Europe as a region name, Europe as a location name, and each Europe you have a multiple regions like Europe West 2, Europe West 3, Europe West 4, Europe West 5. These are regions. Each region will have a multiple zones. You can see here 2A, Europe West 2A, 2B, 2C. This is how properly they have given a nomenclature for each and every region as well as zone for us to understand clearly. Okay, so this is how GCP's Google infrastructure is provided a names properly. Okay, likewise, even if you go to US also, you have a US Central. US Central is a one of the location, one of the region, US Central. And if you go to zones, US Central 1A, US Central 1B, 1C, these are the zones inside that one. Okay, wherever you say 1A, 1B, 1C, or 2A, 2B, 2C, those are the zones. And if you don't, if you just see a number like 1, 2, 3, those are the regions. Okay. Now, this is a good diagram. Try to understand this one. Locations. Each location will have a multiple regions. Each region will have a multiple zones, and each zone are connected to the one more zone via high bandwidth network for the infrastructure management. That I will tell you why they are connected via high bandwidth network. I will tell you in few minutes. And zones are, each zone is a availability zone because it is having a physical plus virtual resources. And for the zone A, you have a virtual machines and disk. For the zone B, you may have something. For zone C, you may have something. Okay, don't think that, sir, why didn't you show for the zone B and zone C and zone D? Sir, for you to understand, this is how it is. But zone B will also have some availability resources, as well as zone C will also have, zone D will also have. And regions and zones. Let us try to see the definition wise. Regions are independent geographic areas that consist of zones. Independent geographic areas that consist of zones. Zones and regions are logical abstraction of underlying physical resources provided in one or more physical data centers. What they say is that logical abstraction of underlying physical resources. Each zone is a collection of data. Each zone is collection of a physical plus virtual resources. These virtual plus physical resources are logically abstracted. So you will understand in the next step, sir, why they are not each zone. For example, if I take one particular region, in one of the region, and I have a one zone, that one zone and one more zone it is. This is one zone, this is second zone, this is entirely a region. And here you have 1, 2, 3. That means some virtual machines, some disk, some storage. Do you think is the Google Cloud Platform provides you the same kind of infrastructure here and here same? So that may not be possible. That may not be correct. So here if I have some VMs, here if I have some storage devices, or here I have some disk, so it may not be equal to the zone 2 that you have here. So think that this is your Mumbai. Mumbai is a one of the region. In Mumbai, you have a Mumbai 1A, Mumbai 1A, 1B. 1A, 1B. And here you have a virtual machine. Here you have a disk. But this is not sure that it will be having same disk and same virtual machines here. Here you may be having some other networking components or some other things. So these logical abstraction of physical and virtual resources are done with the help of the regions and zones only. Okay, so that is the reason it may not be same, and even though it is same here. So the here also you have a virtual machine, here also you have a virtual machine. The cost of this virtual machine one is not equal to the cost of this virtual machine. Okay, so the cost may vary, the resources may vary at all. So that is the reason you have to understand while deploying your application, because these are the logical abstractions. They have come up with their own algorithm for dividing these infrastructure. So we have to be very smart while we are deploying or while we are selecting the location topic. Okay, all these concepts, one or two questions will at least one or two questions will be, you will be able to see in the AS exam, associate cloud engineer. Please pay attention here. Okay, and now each region is consist of one or more data center. Why? Because Region will consist of zone. Zone will have a data center. Okay. And GCP regions are designed to provide you high availability and low latency for applications and services deployed in those regions. As I was telling you, this is our main agenda, that why the Google Cloud Platform providing you the regions and zones near to your premises is because the application deployment will be speed, the network latency will be very less, as well as the availability of the application to the end users will be very high. So that is the reason concept of came into the picture. Okay. And one of the example for the region is US Central 1. Okay. US Central 1. Now zones. So zone is a deployment area for Google Cloud resources within a region. Why they are saying deployment area? The name itself, it is saying that deployment area means, sir, I have a zone here and that zone is having some virtual machine, and someone wanted to, some you or me, okay, think that me, it's Johnny or it's Saidul, wanted to deploy one application on top of this virtual machine. Now tell me, sir, wanted to deploy one application, and where we are deploying? On this zone only. Zones are the deployment areas. Zones are the availability zones. Zones are the ones where exactly the physical resources exist. So that's the reason it may call sometimes availability zone, sometimes we call as a deployment area, sometimes we call it as a actual resources exist place location. Okay, so that is what is a zone. So zone is called as a deployment area for Google Cloud resources within a region. So all this comes under a region, all this comes under a location. Okay, so that is how. So zones are the deployment areas. Zones are physically separated from each other within a region to provide fault tolerance and resilience. This is a very important concept that we should understand. So zones are physically connected. The name thing here also, it is a continuous line only. The zones are physically separated and connected via high bandwidth and low latency network. What is the meaning of this one, sir? Let me try to explain. See, for example, sir, okay, assume that this is a one of the region. Some Mumbai only, let us take. Singapore or Mumbai, let us take. This is Mumbai. In Mumbai, I have a virtual machine here. I have deployed my application here. I have deployed my application here on top of the virtual machine. And what is happening? What will happen, sir, is this is zone 1. What if this entire zone 1 has crashed due to some unexpected failure? What if that zone 1 means it may happen an earthquake, it may happen some whatever due to some other unexpected failures. If the zone 1 is crashed, what happened to your application? Because your application will be used by many of the people, right? Your application was which is deployed in the virtual machine. Here, think like this is your application which is used by plenty of the people in India. Okay, what happens to your whenever this entire zone is crashed? Whenever this entire zone is crashed, no one will be able to connect it to your application. First, the application itself, the entire zone itself, it is not available. Okay, due to that reason, what the Google Cloud Platform suggests you is that try to in a zone. We already know that in a region we will be having more than at least three zones. Okay, so try to deploy your applications in multiple zones if possible. Try to deploy your applications. If here it is virtual machine is not available, at least here, if possible, try to deploy your application within multiple regions, multiple zones, so that even though this zone is not available, your users can able to use your application from here. Okay, automatically it will happen. try to deploy your applications in multiple zones so that the fault tolerance means is this one only. If one zone is crashed, automatically all your infrastructure, all your application connections will be moved to the one more zone. Okay, the main intention is that fault tolerance. We should not be providing you the issues to the issues to your target users. Instead, we try to make the zone available in one more. All your applications will be available in one more zone. So that is the reason whenever you are deploying your application, it would be very good that try to deploy your applications in multiple zones, so that you are actually not deploying your applications. What you do is that you replicate it. Okay, whenever you select a multi zones, what will happen when you are deploying here, automatically it will be replicated to that one. Okay, via high bandwidth network. This is the reason each zone is connected. Here this one also connected, this one also connected. Okay, so whenever you are deploying your applications, you select your location as a multi-zone so that your application will be replicated to the multiple zones via high bandwidth network, so that your application will be highly available. That means even one of the zone is crashed due to some unexpected failures, you will be able to connect it to the one more application via one more zone. Okay, this is what is called as a connect. All the zones are connected via high bandwidth network, fault tolerance, and we also understood high availability. So this is highly available. Your application will be highly available to the end users due to this replication concept, or the high bandwidth network concept, or the zones are connected to each other. Okay, so this is what is a concept. Same thing I have mentioned here. Zones are physically separated from each other within a region to provide you fault tolerance and resilience. Each zone within a region is connected through a high bandwidth network and low latency network. One of the example for the region was US Central 1. One of the example for the zone for the same region is US Central 1A. 1A, 1B, 1C is also there. Okay, so this is how you have a zones and regions. Region is an independent geographic area, which is a collection of zones, which is a collection of data centers. It is mainly provided for us to high availability and low latency of the network. Zone is a deployment area where actual resources are exist. So zones are separated or connected to the one more zone via high bandwidth network. Okay, one of the example for the US Central 1, one of the example for the zone is US Central 1A. Okay. So what what is the selection criteria while I am deploying my applications? What is my selection criteria while I am deploying my applications? Whenever we have to select a location like region or zone, what is my selection criteria? For that one, the very important point on which we were discussing from last 15 minutes is that whenever you wanted to deploy your resources in GCP, it is important to consider the proximity of the region and zone to your target users and customers. What he is saying that the proximity of the region or zone to your target users or customers. Assume this one, sir. Sir, you are in India. Okay, you are in India. Okay, that you are deploying one application in India. This is your application in India, Mumbai data center. You are deploying, sir. Okay, that means this is fine. Okay, let us not say like this. So let me say like this. Instead, you will understand this point. Let us say US Central, US. This is your US region. You have a one of the zone US Central 1A. Okay, so what you are doing is that you are in India. Okay, you are in India. You are deploying your applications in 1A. You are deploying your applications in 1A. But your target users are in India. Target users means most of the application users are in India. Okay, So now what is happening for you? It's easy to deploy your application anywhere in the Google's infrastructure. So you have selected US Central 1A because US Central 1A have a plenty of the resources. So that's well and good for you as a logic. But whenever your end users, see here, the proximity of the regions and zone. So whenever your end users or a target customers wanted to connect it to you, the application, they have to connect it from the all the way from India to USA. Okay, all the way from India to the USA data center, and inside that they have to connect it to that particular application. Due to that, network latency will be very high. Latency, whenever you are doing something, the latency means the buffer time or the seek time to access something is very high here. So the seek time for access something is very high. So from today and tomorrow onwards, the people think like it is taking a lot of time, I don't want to use the application. So that's where you may lose your business again. Okay, that's where, because it is taking a lot of time for me all the way connected from India to US data center, the application which is installed on the US data center, it is taking a lot of time. That means the network latency is very high. So that is the reason they don't want to use it. Okay, so this is the people, the whenever you are selecting a region or zone, you shouldn't do this thing. Okay, we shouldn't follow this thing. The very first important point of the selection criteria is that whenever you deploying your application or deploying your resources, it's important to consider the proximity of the regions and zones. Try to deploy your application wherever your target users are existed, at least near to them, at least near to them. So instead of deploying your applications here, you try to deploy locations in the New Delhi or Mumbai. Okay, so when you deploy your application in New Delhi or Mumbai, what happens is that your application is near to your target users. Your application is near to your target users, so that they can able to easily connect to it. They can able to easily connect to it. Due to that, the network latency is very less, and they'll be able to easily connect it to it within a few milliseconds of the time itself. Okay, so this is the very important point, is that try to deploy your applications near to your target users. Okay, deploy your application near to your zone or near to your region, to your customer or target users. Okay, so this is one of the important point. Okay, and one more point we have already discussed again, to deploy fault tolerant application with high availability and protect against unexpected failures. Deploy your applications across multiple zones in a region. As I was telling you, whenever you are deploying your application in one zone, try to select a multiple regions. Automatically, all the infrastructure will be replicated. So your application will also be available here also. Okay, so target users may connect it to this zone. Whenever this is failed, they are automatically connected to this one also. Okay, to deploy fault tolerant applications with high availability and help protect against unexpected failures, deploy your applications across multiple regions or multiple zones. Okay, so that is what is a one more point. The third point is also, this is also I told you previously, you can understand this point also. It's also essential to understand the pricing and availability of the resources across different regions and zones, as they may vary. Okay, what is that, sir? Sir, you wanted to deploy one application. Think that you have a three zones: zone 1, zone 2, zone 3. Okay, the very first step is that select whether the regions, whether your infrastructure is available in these zones or not. Assume that, sir, I have a virtual machine here. Here I do not have virtual machine. Here I have virtual machine. So first you select whether the infrastructure is available or not. So here also available, here also available. Virtual resources. Here the resources available. Here the resources. Next point is cost. Which is cheap? Sir, it is $100. Sir, this is $90. Go for this one. So try to deploy your application on this one. Okay, so whenever someone wanted to deploy your application on a region, here it is not only for zones, it is also for the region also. 1, 2, 3. You can think of a regions. 1, 2, 3. You can also think of a zones. Okay, so try to deploy your application wherever the resources exist, and the cost wise you also get a benefit. Okay, cost wise you also get a benefit. So that is what it is. Okay, that's what this point says. It's also essential to understand the pricing and availability of the services across the multiple regions and zones, as they may vary. Okay, whenever you are selecting a region or zone, follow this one. In that region, do you have resources? Yes, sir. And I have 3 regions where the cost is different. So select the cost wherever it is cheap. Okay, so this is also a very important point. Okay, yeah. So finally, by understanding the GCP regions and zones, it allows organizations to design and deploy their applications and services with high availability, resilience, and optimal performance. And it also helps meet the data compliance requirements and enables effective disaster recovery strategies. Okay, this one of this example recently it might have happened as people already know about PUBG, right? So what used to happen is that PUBG was used by the plenty of the Indian people. Data complaints I was talking about. PUBG was used by the India. Think about this is India, but PUBG application was deployed in where, sir? In China's data center. In one of the China's data center, it was used. Indian people were using the China's data center application, which is there in the China's data center. What is happening? It is a threat to India that all the information of the people was stored. The data. So there will be millions of people in India who are using the application every day, every 2 hours, 3 hours. Okay, what is happening? All the information related to these personals are stored. We call it as a data of those data personals is stored in the Indian data center. In China, China's data center, China may misuse the information because it's a lot of individuals. Sometimes they store, sometimes they're going to ask you some personal questions as well. So most of the data is going to be stored in the China's data center. Okay, so India don't wanted to allow that. Okay, that's the reason it was banned. That's the reason PUBG application was banned. But now it's again live, sir. Why? It because whoever have developed that application, PUBG, I think I forgot that name, and whoever has deployed their application, they take the one of the data center as a contractor. They have taken rent for one of the data center in the Mumbai, and they deploy the PUBG application here again. They are deployed the public application in the Mumbai data center again. So it was in Azure data center. Okay, now public application is running in the Mumbai. So now still they can now we can able to use it because our data is there in our own data centers only. The data from the data centers will not be moved to anyone. So our data is there in the own data centers only. So this is comes under data compliance. Data compliance is nothing but the data has to, or the data or the application or the whatever the resources should be there, whoever is owning that. If the Indian information should not be stored in any other data centers. There are data centers who are storing information, but some critical information and a lot of information should not be stored there. So that's the reason it was banned, and now it is again live because the PUBG was rented one of the data center in the Mumbai, and they are installing. So they have installed the PUBG on top of that data center. Okay, this was the data compliance requirement saying that your data has to be with you. Okay, if it is not with you, that is comes under data compliance. Okay, data should be there with the data owner only. If I am the owner to think that I have a bank account, I have a Aadhaar card details, PAN card details, those details should be personal to me. Okay, I am the data owner of my information. But if I am showing that information to the other, that is where the data compliance requirement, data compliance. Okay, it shouldn't be. So we should follow those requirements. So that's what the PUBG's issue was fixed like that. Now you understand that whenever you wanted to deploy your application, high availability, optimal performance, nothing but a network latency should be very less. Okay, and Whenever you understand this concept, it also helps you meet the data compliance requirements and effective disaster recovery strategies. If something goes wrong or multiple regions, we have selected a fault tolerance. So all of those things come into the picture again. Okay, so this is the concept of GCP locations, sir. Anyone have any questions? I'm gonna be available. Sorry, I'm gonna be available here until 8:30, and we are going to talk about one of the next concept. Before going to the next concept, for 10 minutes, I want you guys to tell me if you guys have any questions. Just raise your hand. I'm gonna go one by one. If you have any questions.
Hello, sir. Good morning, Sandeep this side.
Please raise your hand if you wanted to talk. There are many of the people here. So yes, Sandeep, now you can talk.
Yeah, I was not able to find the reaction just I got.
Okay, yeah.
Sir, actually today is my first class, so I am
Okay.
able to correlate and got the things which whatever you have explained till now. So for the initial classes, can I have access to anywhere, sir, so I can correlate and understand?
Sure, you can actually. This is for the most of the people. I'm telling you guys. Maybe the previous two classes happened, 2 or 3 classes happened. Those were very basic. I did not talk about anything like concepts. Maybe interface wise, one
Mm-hmm.
of the previous class you can think of. So previous classes where I
Yes, sir.
have talked about in the Google Cloud platform, we have plenty of the services available. If I wanted to interact with the services, I need to have a tools that such as console or a cloud shell. So for those things, I have talked about a few minutes. So that's an important thing. So if you can watch the previous class, that's where if you can able to continue from the today's onwards. That is one thing. And for the previous classes, you can actually contact our admin team. They will be able to help you on that.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes. Anyone have any questions? Yeah. Yes, Shankar.
Sir,
Yes. అట్లయినా వెళ్ళొచ్చండి మనకి బేసికల్ గా ఏంటి అని అంటే sorry guys, so
sir,
the
but
question is, yeah, sorry, the question is this one, sir. So can we go as a support engineer, data support engineer, or a data engineer? So see, whenever you know the development, I'm telling you, whenever you know the development, you can develop the things, you can test the things. Okay, so when you have a development knowledge, you can able to support the project, you can able to help as a testing engineer, you can also support as a data engineer or a development engineer. So you can do anything. So when you know the high level things like development, all these things are same. Okay, so you can go if you wanted to.
so, sir, in respect of certification, if we talk about, so we can start with the after course, we
Yes,
can
yes,
go
yes.
first for.
Sandeep, I have given your time. Okay, so there is a one more guy asking a question. So uh, uh, give me
Okay,
1 minute. So I'm gonna come back to you again. Okay.
no problem. Thank you. Sorry.
Sorry, yeah. So yes, Shankar, you are asking something. వెళ్ళొచ్చండి. So that's not at all a problem at all. I'm telling you. See, if you know the BigQuery SQL development, why don't you can't work as a admin? Okay, why don't you can't work as a testing? So why don't you can't support as a support engineer? Of course, you can. If you know the development, that's what I'm telling you. If you know how the BigQuery works, if you know how the BigQuery, if whenever you were practicing, you know how to develop some of the related SQL queries for reporting purpose. If you know those kind of things, why can't you go there? Of course you can go. Yes. వెళ్ళొచ్చు. Yeah, అడుగుతారు. మరి ఇప్పుడు మనం ఒక ప్రాజెక్ట్‌లో మనం వర్క్ చేసినప్పుడు, వాళ్ళకి ఒక 3 ఇయర్స్, 4 ఇయర్స్ పెట్టినప్పుడు ఎక్స్‌పీరియన్స్, అవి అడగకుండా డైరెక్ట్‌గా జాబ్ ఇస్తారా? ఇవ్వరు గదా! సో, బేసికల్‌గా మనం ఏంటి అనంటే, వి షుడ్ లెర్న్, నేను ఇక్కడ లిస్ట్ ఔట్ చేసిన. వి షుడ్ లెర్న్ ఆల్ ద కాన్సెప్ట్స్ రిలేటెడ్ టు ద జీసీపీ ఫస్ట్ థింగ్. మేజర్ కాన్సెప్ట్స్. 10 ఉంటాయి. We should learn all those 10 services perfectly. And while we are learning, we shouldn't learn like, okay, this is a tool, this is where we have an option, this is how it will work. No, that's not how we should learn. We should learn in such a way that how it will be very helpful when I join a company, how in the project, in a project when I work, how this will be treated in a project, whether this is used as an ingestion tool, whether this is used as a warehouse tool, data lake. So how we have to work with. If everything is how is done, then we should know what to do in that. So we should know about what for with that service, what I can do, how I can able to support the project. So whether it is a development or a testing, whatever it is, we should learn the GCP services, and we should think in such a way that how it will help me in the project. So that is how it is. But yeah, it will be yeah. Tickets మనం కవర్ చేయము. So we are not going to cover the tickets, but problems, of course, that we will be covering. Yes. Sure, sure. Sure. See, our project, our course is going to be according to the project, and it will be very helpful to you. I'm telling you, those concepts will be covered. Don't worry. Yeah. Dishant, sorry whether I called it correct or not, but Dishant, yeah. Yes. Yeah. Hi. No, no. Whenever we are selecting a gene, whenever you think of an application, it's like this again. Sir, my application is critical. I want it to be available all the time. For that one, I'll try to select the multiple zones. So that way, we are fixing the fault tolerance. Okay. And sir, my application is not so critical. I am the one using it. This is for a testing purpose only. I don't want it to be available in multiple zones. In that case, you select only one zone. Cost wise, you get benefit. Okay, when it is a critical application, you do want it to be available all the time. So in that case, you think of a concept of fault tolerance, and so you select a multiple zones. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Correct. See, data complaints, if you wanted to know, it's not directly it will be. So whenever you understand your business, right? So they will tell you, okay, for these people, we shouldn't provide the access. See, I am working in one of the MNC company. They say that for the Indonesian data, we should have a access, and they won't provide the access. Or for the data like we are having in a BigQuery, we shouldn't provide the access to the China's people. So such a kind of a requirements will be there. So when you provide it, there will be a data compliance, and higher authority from the higher authority from the business. They will call you and saying that why did you provide the access to them? They should not have access. So that's where the data compliance kind of things come into the picture, and we should think about it like whenever you're deploying your application or whenever you're storing your data, try to minimize your data. Don't provide the access to them. Okay, two ways we can able to access it. So that kind of a thing, when you understand the business only, we will be able to think. But it's a one of the important aspect as well. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Kumaraswamy.
Yeah, Ajay.
Yeah. Hi.
So coming to India, Bombay, Delhi is the two data centers under Asia GCP location, or is there any
No, no.
category?
Mumbai, Delhi is not a data center. It is a region. Inside that one, you
Okay.
have a Mumbai 1A, Mumbai 1B, Mumbai 1C, something like this. Okay. So you can
Okay.
think of like this is your Mumbai, and you have a 1A, 1B, 1C, 1C, only three we have. Likewise, if you think this is a Delhi, 1A, 1B, 1C, and here you have a resources like this.
Okay. Means Bombay is the region, and
Yes,
under Bombay, Bombay 1A, Bombay 1B is the zones.
correct, correct.
The location is Asia, as
Asia,
per my
Bombay, Asia.
location.
Yes.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Anyone have any other questions, guys? Yeah. One time back, Sandeep or someone were actually pinged me in between. So if you
Yeah,
want,
sorry, sir.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I can repeat my question. I was
yeah, yeah,
asking,
sure.
sir, I am new to
No problem.
this
Yeah.
Google Cloud.
Okay.
So actually, we are migrating our reports to Google Cloud.
Okay.
So in respect of the certification, so which certification I go in respect of data? Should I
Yes.
go for the data engineer or digital leader first?
Digital leader is also fine, and ACE also you can actually go for ACE. I'll suggest you to go for ACE instead of digital leader. Digital leader is very, very
Digital is very basic,
low.
na, sir?
Yeah, very, very basic.
Okay,
So
okay,
actually, it's
okay,
yes. If you say you have a good, visibility outside, also if you say yes, associate cloud engineer, or if you say a professional one, there is a lot of visibility outside. The people will directly
okay,
say that okay, you have done a professional data engineer. You can think of like this: associate is
okay,
yeah,
okay,
associate
sir.
to
Got it.
professional. Yeah.
So
So
after completion of after means going through this course, we can simultaneously
of course,
start preparing for ACE certification.
of course, yes.
Okay, sir. Thank you for the information. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Okay. I think we are good with the questions. Anyone have any other questions, guys? Okay. I'm going to talk next topic. That is, I'm going to give you some glance. I don't want to talk entire thing. Like, just give you glances. There were some people who thinks about who wanted to know what is our next topic, and some people will also do background. I mean, they do their own kind of research and come back to the class, right? So it's a good idea. So whenever I talk about one concept and for like 5 minutes, and you go and do some research about the topic for like 5-10 minutes whenever you get time, and whenever you come to the next class, right, you will be able to understand it easily. So this is what I used to do in my during my education, or during whenever I wanted to do a course. So try whatever do. Maybe last time I have given you some glance about GCP locations. I don't know, some people might have checked, some people might not have checked, but this is the same thing. Whenever I talk about for 5 minutes of the class, you try to do your research. The best thing about the research is that you try to understand a lot of things in a lot of perspective, and whenever I talk about something, you will be able to easily get it. So that's what it is. So let us try to start GCP, IAM, and admin. So far we have seen the interacting methods. In GCP, I have console, I have a shell, I have a SDK. So with the help of the GCP's infrastructure, I can able to interact with the shell, console, and SDK. This is so far so good. And after that, sir, GCP infrastructure is available in multiple regions and zones. I talked about locations, regions, and zones. This is also fine. Sir, tomorrow I'll be working in the GCP. Tomorrow I'll be working in the GCP. In my one of the project I'm working in, my project, there is a developer one, developer two is there. I have a tester one, tester two is there. I have a one more, some client or some other person from the client side is there. I have my manager is there. So these many people working in the same. So for example, in this project, I may be using the tech stack like Dataflow, Dataproc, Google Cloud Store, some 5 tech stack I'm using. And now tell me, sir, if I provide the access, the same level of access to all of these people, would it be correct? If I provide the same level of access to all of these people, would it be correct? So I have a project. In my project, I am using the 5 services related to the data engineering. If I provide you the same level of access to, for example, I have a developer. The developer needs an editor access, otherwise he cannot do the edit. He cannot edit the things. Okay. Tester don't need an editor access. He can view the things and test it. Whether whatever the things were developed, he can view it. And the tester needs the same access, same viewer access to the same tools he is working, and the client side person or the manager, they don't need the actual processing related information. They just need a final where we are creating a dashboard. He needs a viewer access to that particular dashboard only. He may be needing one or two access to the one or two tech stack. Now, see here, according to the person, according to the work they are doing, we are going to control their access. If we don't control their access, what will happen, sir? Think this tester was doing something, but if I provide him the editor access, he was testing something, but unexpectedly or intentionally or unintentionally, he might have edited something. So that's where some amount of wrong data will be created. So we don't want that. Okay, we don't want that. I want to provide the optimal level of access, optimal level of permissions to the people who are working in the project. Okay, for that one, for each and every project, there will be admin working behind the scene to provide or to making sure that a person is allowed with the optimal level of permissions. This is also called as a I forgot that name, principle of least privilege. A principle of least privilege says is that you provide a right amount of access to the right service for the right amount of access to the right services. Okay, you don't provide the extra access, you don't provide the less access, you provide the exact access to the developers or the testers or the whoever it is. So there will be an admin who will be making sure that this guy needs only this kind of access, this guy needs only this kind of access. So that's how the project. So why I am talking about GCP, IAM and admin? So if you wanted to take care of all of those things, you don't need to maintain any server for that. Google's IAM and admin concept is entirely managing own server by the GCP, and you can take care of this access control. Or you can, instead of access control, I would say authority. Authority. It talks about the authority. Who is authorized to work on this service? If you are not authorized, you are not going to access that particular service. Okay, so only entitled, only authorized, only authenticated people only will be able to work in the Google Cloud Platform services, because whatever you do, it is associated with money. Sir, unintentionally, some person has stored a 5 GB data from their local machine to 5 GB data. It's again a cost to the company. Some person was created a cluster, but he did not delete it. He's supposed to not to have access to the creating a cluster, but someone might have given the access. He created a cluster, it was not deleted for 2 hours. Next 2 hours, some amount of dollars will be again, it's a cost. So we don't want it to have unnecessary actions on this one. So to make sure that only authorized people will be able to have access to the services, so that's where will be taken care by the GCP IAM admin. Okay, so if you see here, IAM nothing but a identity access management. What is sir? Identity, nothing but a you and me or some account. Access, identities provides an access. Managing these two things is nothing but a management. Okay, identity is access management. Identity means, sir, see here, you manage the access control by defining the who has what type of access for which role, who has what type of access to which role, which service. Who is nothing but a you or me or some service account. Action means whether he will be able to delete it, create it, or clone it, view it, get it. All these things are on actions on which service. Okay, that is what talks about IAM. IAM is going to be talking about the authorization for this person. He can able to this kind of action on this service only. The other way around, it will not work the other way around, sir. If I don't want him to access it, that means all other people will be able to access it. No, only this person I want him to access it. For this person only, I will add an access request. Then he will get an access request to do all of these things and this particular services. Okay. So IAM, Identity Access Management. Identity Access Management is nothing but it talks about the authorization, who has what type of access to which resources. It's nothing but a IAM. Who has what type of access to which resources. So we have a plenty of concepts here. Identity is nothing but a user account or a service account or a Google Groups. Identities are principles are same, sir. The name is identity, and identity or principle both are same. Identity nothing can be a user account. My account which I use to log into my Google, and an application will have their own account that is called as a service account. A group of user accounts is nothing but a Google Groups. We will see all of these things. So you assign a role to that one. Roles are a role is a collection of permissions, and this is what it happens. If you wanted some user wanted to act something, you assign a role to them, and role will have a set of permissions. A permission is allowed access on the resource. This we will see tomorrow, and let's not worry about it. Types of roles we have: basic roles, predefined roles, and custom roles, and policy. Okay, whenever you do some kind of a bindings between the role and user, that where you are creating a statement called a policy. And we have a policies assigned at each and every level. So this is called as a resource hierarchy. We have a four pillars of the resources hierarchy, and we will understand these concepts tomorrow. Okay, yeah. Any questions, sir? Yes, IAM is nothing but identity access management, where we are going to, it is a security aspect, sir. It is one of the important security aspect in the GCP, where we are going to taking care of who has what type of access to which resources. Okay, so that is what it is. Yes, Nagaraj. Authorization means you say you provide him the access. That's where you say you are making him authorized. But he wanted to use the service. He needs some kind of some level of see Google says that everyone is authorized to use their Gmail, but they can also provide that only 10 people can able to make it authorized. But still, if you wanted to use Google, you need some kind of a credentials. Okay, if you don't use your Gmail or a password, you are not logged into your Gmail. So authenticated means you some kind of authentication methods will be there. You, with the help of those, you will be able to log in. That is authentication. Authorization means Google says that everyone in throughout the world can able to use Google. That is, they are making a statement saying that all are authorized. Okay, yeah. I can make you authorized. See, here only I asked you to unmute you. If you don't unmute, you can't talk. Okay, I make you unmute. But if you can't unmute yourself, then you are not. That means that kind of authorization. I provide you the authorization, but some people we have to use some kind of a strategies, or some kind of a credential check, multi-stage credentials. Some kind of factors will be there. With help of that, we are going to. That's the main difference between authorization and authentication. Yeah. And anyone have any other questions, guys? That's what I was. Authorization means you make authorized. See, for example, in my team, the manager says, in my team, I have 5 members. So these 5 members are the authorized people to work in this project. Okay, but do you think by saying itself, the manager saying itself, these are authorized people, you get access to the Google Cloud? No. Okay, you don't get access to the Google Cloud. And if you wanted to get an access Google Cloud, what they need to do is that they need to have some kind of a Google account. They have to create it on their own. They put their account password and second step of password. So whenever they are trying to access to the Google Cloud, they use these credentials. So this is authentication. You create your own authentication for that. But he making you authorized to use the Google Cloud platform. So Google Cloud Platform now managing that entire project, the tracking, billing, everything. So you can able to do that kind of he is making you authorized, and you will be able to use it by using some kind of credentials, authorized and authentication. It's very simple, sir. Don't worry about that. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions, guys? Yes, Rohan. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Anyone have any other questions? Okay, I think we're good. It's already time up, 8:35. We will see tomorrow at the same time, guys. And don't forget to attend the classes. Yeah. Thank you all. Have a great day.